Ciao tutti. Welcome back to Calcio Culture. This is Vos, back from vacation and excited to get back into another episode. Today, we're going to be reviewing match week number 2 with the whole crew back together. Mats, Logs, we got 2 weeks in the books. How are we feeling a couple games into the season here?
Paisans, it's great to be 2 weeks in. Great couple of matches here from this past weekend. Great to be back with the three of us. Quick shout out, Ant, for locking up his chick this weekend. Good for you. And we have a good episode ready for you.
We are fired up. Couldn't agree more, Logan. Shout out the Phoenix getting hitched. Hope it was a good wedding, Bose. I'm fired up. Just finished a fantasy football draft. Got Travis Kelce in the 4th round. Thought that was a lot of value there. I know this is a Calcio podcast, so I won't tell you more about my team, but we're fired up, boys. Let's go, Paisanos.
Yeah, Mats came onto the stream here really, really excited. So hopefully we get a new level out of him following his fantasy football draft. But Logs, we got quick shouts. As always, you're kicking it off. You're going global once again. What do you got for us?
They call me the jet setter. I just can't stay in one spot. I love getting around the globe. I don't know what to tell you. But I hope that this isn't a trend for the full season, but I just can't stop talking about La Liga. Good shout from a player that we saw out in Yield, Glendale, Arizona. First time seeing him live. Happy to see him getting back to a top 5 league, especially given the fact that he has some juice left in the tank. James Rodriguez back to La Liga, staying in Madrid, but going to Rayo Vallecano. Good for him. Happy to see him back on a top-tier team.
Second time a James Rodriguez international tournament launched a big move for him. Obviously not as big as the first move, but he does well with Colombia, and then he goes and moves to La Liga.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players of all time, and I wish his career had gone a little bit differently than it had. Like, he never really failed anywhere. Just like they just moved on from him for some reason.
But he didn't do as well as he did anywhere that he does, like on Colombia. But you just like him because he's pretty. He's cute.
He's very pretty. Very pretty. Another pretty item on the quick shouts list here. Chelsea's 3rd kit. Kind of stinks. All black kit with some random design malfunction on the Nike logo. It's got 2 Nike logos and it's vertical. I don't know why they decided on that. It looks cool though. I like it. It's got a little bit of pop of pink in there. I'm so excited to see that on the pitch as opposed to seeing AC Milan's shit fucking 3rd kits this weekend. I never want to see those again.
I'm looking at these for the first time ever right now, and they are good.
I haven't seen them. I'll have to take a look, but I second the Juve away kits. Just disgusting. Just gross.
Too. Couple of bad kits in Serie A these days. But getting back on the jet, getting back on the PJ, we continue to go around the globe, and we're going to Saudi. But not for any good reasons here. I'm just highlighting the fall from grace that is Milan Skriniar. This man forces his way out of Inter when Inter was still top of the table perennially. I mean, really only 3 seasons ago, if that. Goes to PSG, has nothing notable about his stint there, and now is on his way to Saudi for a dog shit fee. You know, this is one of those examples of why break something when it's not broken? Why you got to try to prove yourself even more when you're already on a top team in a top tiered league, and then you go up and you screw it all up.
The grass is not always greener
outside of Italy. It's very, very not green outside of Italy, as we've seen. On this one, I didn't love it when it happened. And I talk about this a lot with players. When you leave where you are to go into a new situation, you have to also make sure that what you're going into is going to match what you're good at. Skriniar was really good about playing in a back 3. He's bad on the ball. Like, everybody knew that. He's just a destroyer center back that's really good at destroying people. And on PSG, they have literally never used that. They want to be a ball-dominant club that plays in a back 4 and has 2 ball-handling defensemen. And they bought him and then immediately bought new players that are better on the ball than him. Like, why would who are these agents that are saying, okay, we'll do this?
I'll tell you why. because money talks, and I'm sure PSG threw him a bag and Inter couldn't throw him a bag. Money
That's
talks.
true.
These guys, they don't care about like glory or winning games or anything. I mean, I guess you're gonna do that at PSG going there, but they'd rather just get their bank accounts up, which you can't fault them because I want to do that too. But that's probably why money talks.
And that's why he's headed to Saudi. In any case, get back in the jet with me. We're going to Liverpool.
We're flying back. Was this poor flying around the world here? Poor.
Why are we going to Liverpool?
We were just in England in Chelsea, and now we're going back. Where is Chelsea in England? I don't know, but
London.
It's in London.
London. You get my point, though. We went from London to Saudi, back to London. But we're going to Liverpool because Chiesa is linked with Liverpool. They have inquired about him. Just another club that's linked with the Chiesa saga. I have accepted that Chiesa is not part of the Juventus squad, so it's tough for me to say goodbye. But if I had to say goodbye, I would love for him to go to Liverpool because our boy, friend of the pod, Potts, big Liverpool fan. I like to support Liverpool because of him. Juve pool, let's make it happen. Chiesa to Liverpool would be great, although I know it makes him somewhat sad because there are rumors that if Chiesa comes, Salah leaves. I think even if Chiesa doesn't come, Mo's out the door going to Saudi, getting an absolute bag. He's won everything you can. So yeah, Chiesa to Liverpool looks very concrete, but so did the Barcelona one. We don't know what will happen. We'll see.
I don't think about Barcelona transfers are ever concrete. Shout out Danny Olmo. So I think this is a good move for Chiesa. He needs to get out of the situation that he's in. We talked about this a lot since the beginning of the pod, but would be very happy for our fellow fans out there, Potts in particular. Shout out Potts, well behaved this weekend. Would be great to see Chiesa in a better situation.
This is like the opposite of the Skriniar move. And granted, I haven't watched a lot of Slot ball. Arne Slot, the new Liverpool manager, but under like who they were recruiting as like a Klopp player, he's very similar to what most Salah does, which is just get the ball and run at you, kind of chaotic but very effective. So I'm assuming it will work. And I'm ready to watch Chiesa on any team at this point. Like I'm sick of not seeing him play. He should be playing. I hope the saga comes to an end very soon. I'm very sick of talking about it as well.
That's a good point because now that you mention that, I remember that Liverpool with Klopp especially have been on Chiesa for like every summer. It's a rumor like Liverpool is going to get Chiesa, and now that he's available for super super cheap, I can see it actually happening. But that is a good point. We'll see how he fits in with the slot ball, but he's made for that Liverpool system with those wingers.
I know we're going to give Mata his flowers, and we're going to give him a lot of flowers throughout the season. But as an Italian national team player and as a Serie A player at some point for himself, horrible for the brand that he's putting Chiesa in this spot. You know, granted, when you're managing any team, that shouldn't be your main focus, but I just got to say that this is a horrible move for the brand of Italian football to put your arguably best player from a national team perspective and toss him in the trash and let him rot until he finds a new team.
Terrible the way they're handling it, but I would argue like, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world because obviously the Prem, because of their marketing and only because of their marketing, they have more eyeballs. It's not a better product. They just have better marketing. So more eyeballs will be on two very strong Italians if he moves there in Calafiori and Chiesa.
And Tonali. Don't dare forget Tonali's coming back this week. Let's go.
And keep it on the Premier League here, though. The marketing, you just talked about it, Mott. There was a little stat we saw today that we're all a little upset about.
It is what it is at this point. We got to close the gap, but the gap is so large that we're not even close. And the stat that Vos is referring to is the transfer window, which is still not over. So this could increase for the Prem. We could close the gap maybe a little bit more on the Serie A, but the Prem has spent, I believe, $2 billion this transfer window so far, and the Serie A is in the 700 million at the second most spent. That is quite a gap. Oh my goodness.
Currently a gap, although what's happened this window as opposed to the past couple, at least that Prem money's coming to the Serie A. So at least we're going to see some fruits of that.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
That's a
hopefully they can.
billion-dollar gap. That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's
That's
gonna take a
gonna
long
take
time for that.
it's gonna take
That's
more than one season to close
yeah,
that.
that realistically, that's like a 10-year project to get there,
Yeah.
and they're doing all the right things to get to that point. What do you mean? What are you shaking up for? That's what the Premier League did. It took them a
What?
very long time.
That's not 10 years.
I think it's
And
close to it.
I mean, obviously the Prem is going to keep getting bigger, but
Mhm.
as you've seen, I think this progression of Serie A, and especially their partnership with Paramount, they've already in CBS, obviously, they've already caught up and they've already surpassed. I think they would have been the fourth league on this list prior 2-3 years ago. Now they're second, and they're actually in second by
I
a good
don't
margin. I
Maybe
don't
they were
think
3
10 years.
behind La Liga event before because of Barcelona and Madrid, but that's a two-man league. Sometimes Atleti's in there. Syria, it's the gap. It's gonna take longer to close the gap. Is basically what I want to say there.
Fair points. We'll see. We'll keep a record. We'll come back in 10 years and tell you who was right, who was wrong. But speaking of things that were right and wrong, Copa de Luna.
Colpi.
Last week, it's getting a little bit better. Shout out Mott's for at least hitting one of the legs.
Hitting
So
my leg and also letting the paisanos know that one of the legs was an awful bet in your bet in Bologna. I said take the opposite. So if they listened to me, they would have went 2-0.
and what's also funny is I listened to the pod after and I hated the AC Milan bet, and I was very vocal about it. So we were very divisive picks. I guess Mott's was the only consensus good pick. So we'll expect it. We'll come back on Wednesday and we'll hit more than one leg, we think. And we're gonna
Correct. We're
keep it
definitely
tab.
gonna. We're 3-0. This on the next episode when we come up with our picks. Did want to keep the Paisanos updated. We went with Blakey's pick for the Paisan leg. It was the Inter Lecce game over 3.5. Also did not hit.
Tough
So
luck.
I was the only one to hit. Next week, I got a feeling that we're all gonna hit and we're gonna make our money back.
All I have to say is Vos had 2 out of the 3 results of that game and still got it wrong. So as much as you can hate on the AC Milan pick, you had a 66% chance of hitting it and you didn't. And it wasn't even
And
close.
I'll save what I'm gonna say for the breakdown of the game.
Yeah, all I gotta say, if you lose by 1 or if you lose by 50, you still lost. It doesn't really matter. But that wraps up quick shouts. There was some good ones today. I like it. Quick break. When we get back, we're going into the match week reviews. There was a lot of interesting stuff this week. Back from the break, guys, to get into the Brajol, my favorite Italian meat, the meat of the episode, with the biggest headline game for me of the weekend in terms of storylines. You may disagree. AC Milan lost 2-1 at Parma. There was a lot to break down in this game. For me, they actually played better, I guess, than they did against Torino and got a worse result in my mind. On the flip side of things, I thought Parma played very well. They clearly knew what they were trying to accomplish, and they did that one thing, which is counterattacking very efficiently. They did 1 or 2 passes and progressed the ball from their defensive third all the way to the attacking third. Both goals came from it. They were threatening. They probably should have scored more. And this should give them a little bit boost to go on. From an AC Milan perspective, we'll start with you, Logs. What are your biggest takeaways? Because this was not a good game.
I'm going to let Mott's go first because I'm still simmering a little bit here.
Before I get into the game, I thought I wanted to give this a shout out. Thought it was really funny. They had obviously it was on CBS, awesome televised event. They had the A team for CBS that covers Serie A, covering it with Poppy,
Happy.
Grella, and who's the other one?
Marco.
Marco. And Zlatan went on and he was like, Where's the A team? Where's Kate? Where's Micah? Where's Terry Henry? Just absolutely shat on their lives.
What I will
Really
say,
funny.
he would not have said that about the Calcio Culture boys.
He would not have. He would
never.
He knew he would know right off the bat we're the A team. So I thought that was funny and just wanted to talk about that. My opinion is AC Milan had 2 bright spots of this game, and those are going to be players, Pavlovic and Reinders. Everybody else on this team did awful. They played 2 games now, and I think 4 goals have been let up, and the 4 goals are carbon copy pictures of the same exact goal every single time. It's counter on the left side, blow by Calabria, who is a literal trash can, on the ground cross, past the two center backs, and Tio is not even near the back post playing defense, is walking back, and it's an easy goal on the back post tap in. Parma could have had a goal within 90 seconds that way. They scored twice with that way. Torino scored once that way. They got a lot of holes that they need to fix, and it all, to me, points to your manager appointing Fonseca. He did a good job, I thought, in the beginning of the game, going back to a lot what worked last year in terms of Loftus-Cheek at the 10, Pulisic at the right wing, but there was no real striker playing Okafor up at the 9. You could see he could not do it, and lot of work that needs to be done for this Milan team.
That was what I had talked about with Lowe's coming into this. For me, this all points to Fonseca because these players, like, you go through this team, these are good players that played good last year. Some of them are world class, and he's getting nothing out of them.
They don't.
And
Tio and Leao
particularly,
don't
oh
look
my
like they want to
God.
be there.
Yeah, and with Leao, this is another thing we had talked about. They're getting him in positions, and everybody, this is like the big takeaway. Oh, he's getting these chances to shoot, and he's missing the net. Rafael Leao has never been good at shooting, and he's getting in positions to take shots from like 20 yards, which for a lot of players, that Tijani Reinders in that position is very good at that. Rafael Leao is terrible at that. So stop making him do that. The one time they got him in a position where he was 1v1 on the outside, and he could make that little run and then a 1-2 and then slide it back across, which is what he is best at. I wouldn't even say he's best at scoring. The best thing he's doing is getting the ball into the box and then just slamming one across the face of goal.
Beating his
Start
man in
doing
the
that.
box, yeah.
On the reverse side of things, to the defensive deficiencies that you were just referring to, Mons, this screams Fonseca. Like, this is such basic tactical setup. Like, you're losing the ball in the exact area you want to lose the ball, which is in the final third, either at the top of the 18 or on the sideline, like near the 18-yard box. How is your team not set up to defend a counterattack when you are literally losing the ball in the safest part of the field? And then you lose it, and all of a sudden, it's just Pavlovic and Tomori, like 2v2 or 3v2. And this could have been a lot worse because they made some insane tackles, backtracking, and
Pavlovic
covering.
especially.
Yeah,
Pavlovic made 3 slide tackles that were goal saving.
and you move through the team, and it's so clear that nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. And I don't think Fonseca knows yet what he wants of these players. What the other thing
Which
I
is
love
why
about it is, as the 8s and the 6, we'll call them the 6s because that's what Fonseca preaches in like a pivot. I don't know what their job is because Yunus Musa was not a holding midfielder and Tijani Reinders wasn't a holding midfielder either. And they were both getting forward, but not really with any sense of where to actually go. And then on the reverse side of things, then when you lose the ball, there's that huge gap between the center backs and the midfielders. There are just endless issues. And this is going to be the story until Fonseca can start getting something right, because nothing's right now.
My dons out there that enjoy our content from YouTube for the episodes, you'll notice that I am not wearing an AC Milan jersey, and I will not be wearing an AC Milan jersey until I see any clear-cut signs that this
Wait.
team has any idea what they're doing. And
What
yes,
jersey are you wearing?
this is a Juventus jersey because Juve might be back.
What jersey are you wearing? Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, paisanos. You won't catch me wearing a fucking AC Milan jersey. You won't catch me wearing that.
I love Ronnie. In any case, I'm extremely annoyed. It's an annoyance that this team looks like we hired Fonseca 2 days ago, and he's acting like he just picked up this squad and has no idea what's going on. He's been hired since May. He's had multiple transfer targets come in, namely Pavlovic. He's brought in Salamakers and played him as much as he's wanted to, although didn't see much of him out there last game. And I will give it to him, sure. One of our biggest names from the beginning of the window, which I don't know why it took 9 years to get the deal done. Fofana is now coming in. He did have his debut during this game. It's just an annoyance that we're not ready. You had all summer. How could you not be prepared and have a game plan and go out and execute? A lot of this team and a lot of the core that we had last year is back. And it shouldn't be a surprise about who you're going to start. Teo didn't start last week. Now he comes in and he looks like dog shit. We have Pavlovic and Tomori operating on islands. Thank God Pavlovic looked like primetime Tomori from our Scudetto winning season, making every slide tackle in the box, not getting any cards, not getting any fouls. That was beautiful stuff. And I just love that finally Davide Calabria is getting the attention he deserves and that he fucking sucks.
He's so bad.
Sucks. He sucks. He sucks. And it's also terrible that we have Emerson come in and look even worse.
Nah, he didn't look worse, but he didn't look
He
great.
didn't look worse. But I mean, there were some like bonehead moves out there that just you can't be having as a new transfer like that. Play the game safely if you're going to come into a new system like this.
And at the same time, Alexis Salamakers, I think, is our best right back right now. He played left back and looked better than Emerson and Calabria did at right back. And he's never played there ever in his life.
Well, people forget our best right back played for Juve today. So that's also a huge issue. No idea why we let Kalulu leave in the state that we're in. And the last thing that I'll touch on here is, and again, I really do think that our midfield will come together. We will figure it out. We have a ton of talent there. Reinders is easily our best midfielder right now, most consistent, most creative. And yes, Mavos, you are 100% right. That long shot should belong to him and only him. Leao has the most shots per game in Serie A right now, and he's taking them from 40 fucking yards away every single time. That's not going to work.
And I think part of the Leao issue too is that from a tactical setup, I don't know what Teo is supposed to be doing, because why Leao under Pioli, who we always shit on, what he did right at least was have Teo create chaos for Leao to get on the ball 1v1. Right now, Teo just like runs around. Like, and and that's it. He just runs around.
He looks disconnected. He looks disinterested. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I know I'm always one to hate on Pioli, but it was known that Teo loved Pioli.
That's why
loved Pioli, that's probably part of the reason here.
That's why I said, I was like, I don't know why you guys are so thrilled to move on from Pioli. All the players loved him. I get he didn't have the tactics, but like, in my opinion, you brought in a lesser manager for Pioli, so the players could look at it like we're taking a step back. Like, Fonseca has done nothing in his career besides finish like middle of the table at best. So it's like I don't know if he's going to come up with some magical tactic that's going to turn this around. The players got to start buying into it. There's a lot of holes.
I have no idea if he's going to do this. It was talked about before the season, and seeing how we have been playing, I would like to see the switch is go to one defensive midfielder like a 6, and then let the 2 8s play beyond him. Because right now, I would say Loftus-Cheek, Reinders,
okay.
with Yusuf Fofana, and I'm going to coin this term right now as like a marauding destroyer, where he can just kind of run around, kind of like Casemiro did at Real Madrid. That's probably a good example. Just run around the field and kill guys. Like, that's all we need Fofana to do. Because right now, there is no destroyer. And that's why these counterattacks have been so deadly, because everybody's just chasing back. And if one person doesn't make it, then they just have a tap in the net. And as good as Mignon is, he can do nothing with that. So go ahead. From just a tactical standpoint, there needs to be a change, because maybe the players don't get what he's trying to do. But for me, it looks like he just set this team up incorrectly. And this might be masked, honestly, when we play a little bit better teams, because of how his setup is actually designed to be like a counterattacking team. And that's his actual team selection. And I compared this to the Manchester United situation, because Ten Hag is like, oh, we're going to counterattack. We're going to be a counterattacking team. Well, when you play a team that's worse than you can't do that, because they're fine not having the ball. So you have to have another way of playing, and you're just feeding into them when you are just pouring guys forward aimlessly when you're in possession for extended periods of time. So I don't know, but there needs to be a tactical shift in my mind. And I don't think it's the players right now, other than Calabria. He's terrible.
I mean, Teo doesn't look. It's Teo too, bro. Teo does not look interested at all. He's not playing any defense. Leao looked like he tried for 2 minutes, and in that 2 minutes that he tried, he did get an assist and burn those defenders. But It's bad. It's not looking good for Milan with 1 point in 2 games. That's a tough start. And also, you guys got Inter in like 2 games.
Oh,
We got
we're
into
going
like
to
2
get
weeks. We're gonna get
fucking
railed.
railed.
Pretty railed.
So
And just to round this out and to just poke 2 more holes in this thing, and this isn't necessarily Fonseca's fault. 2 things that we're certainly missing, and it goes back to problems that we had last year. When Giroud wasn't playing, we didn't have a 9. Morata was now hurt for this game, was not playing. We have Jovic and we have Okafor. Okafor is not a pure 9. He likes to play off the left for the most part. That's what he played at Salzburg. So that's not where he's most comfortable, and he certainly didn't look comfortable at all, nor was he present at all during this game. So if we have 5 days to get another 9, because we can't just trot out some random dude. Jovic is a 9, but has been on this team now 2 years. He's failed at every other team that he's ever been on besides Frankfurt. That can't be our backup plan going into 3 competitions this season. So that's the one thing on the 9.
And to support that, Okafor had 21 touches. Mike Mignon had 46.
Because Mikey's a fucking dog, dude. That's why.
sounds
But
like
the
a
other,
Legger stats. But to flip it, Parma on the other hand, they look like a team. Their manager, Fabio Paccia, he said he prefers a team with young players that are hungry over veteran players that know the league. Because he said the young players will listen to what I'm asking them, and what he's asking them to do is to play as a team and sacrifice as a team. Parma were defending with 10 men behind the ball at all times. When they had the chance to counterattack, they had such amazing chemistry. It was 4 passes, and they were in your 18. Their two Romanian wingers were, oh my goodness.
Dennis Mann and Mihailo were phenomenal. And even like when you look at these guys, they've like identified a talent for like nothing, and you're supposed to be technically worse, but they were just hammering balls into Boney and into Som, who were like the striker in the camp, and they were just playing like one-touch flicks.
Dude, they look like prime Barcelona tiki taka with those one-touch flicks on the counterattack.
Even like Real Madrid, it looked like Benzema like was receiving the ball.
No, they were balling. They were balling, and I mean
that was crazy.
This is Parma's now second game against a pretty good team in the Serie A. Their first one was against Fiorentina, and once again, their only goal that they let up was a crazy good free kick. They are very compact. They're going to play compact. They're going to play on the counter, and with their 2 Romanian wingers, they're going to be a very tough team to beat, especially when they're home. I love how Parma looks early on in this season. And then just to top it off, Dennis Mann already has 2 goals this season. He's firing on all cylinders. This is going to be a tough team to beat for any team or any club that rolls in here.
They probably should have scored more too. That's the other piece of this. They had a lot. We said it before. Pavlovic and Tomori actually like saved maybe 4 goals essentially.
Well, they played a back 4 by themselves. So they played really fucking well.
I would even say Tomori like kind of was Pavlovic himself saved a ton. Pavlovic played the full 90 minutes, obviously, and was keeping up with the substitutes of Parma. Saved 3 goals, was everywhere. Great signing there.
Yeah, the last thing I do want to point out here was the second goal, assist from a sub, goal from a sub. That's talking about like knowing your players and knowing who to come in. And the guy that did assist it is a player I really like, so I just want to give him a quick shout out. Pontus Almqvist, who was on Lecce last year. I really like him, and I think that's a really good guy to have, because he's got Serie A experience. He's another one of these guys that can come in. And then most of all, he fits this system so well. He's just a speedy winger that's really good on the ball. And that's exactly what we saw. Like he just sprinted it forward, played it across, goal. So everything they're doing here, I love getting players to fit into the system and just rolling on from there. Milan, Milan is going to be on here every week until we see something that says they're not going to be dog shit.
Well, and until Calabria gets fired and sent to Serie C.
Serie C. He's also the captain. Oh god, we're done with Milan. Moving on to maybe another dumpster fire right now. Empoli beat Roma in Rome 2-1.
For the first time in
what
9
the hell
years.
is going on with this Roma team?
Because Empoli's never beat Roma at Roma.
We're all so hot on them. It's not like there's like anything new. Like it's just basically the same team from last year, with a couple of better players in it. Bots, you had a lot to say about this game. What the hell is going on?
I'll tell you what the problem is right now, and we did talk about it a little bit on how De Rossi was going to handle it. Is tactically they don't know how to set up because Dybala and Sule are both very similar players, and they want to play off the right. They started Sule on the left. Sule looked terrible on the left. He only can go left. That's his problem. So you, if you put him on the left, he can only cross it, and then he goes. His goal is to score rather than cross. So he tries to score after he beats his man, and it's easy to guard your near post that way. They moved him over to the right-hand side, but then that is what the problem that is when the issues started happening for Roma. They overloaded the right-hand side so much. There was only one player on the left, and that was Angelino, or how do you pronounce that? And
Yeah, that's right.
Angelino.
Angelino, and he looked fine, but their problem is they have 6 to 7 guys so congested on the right-hand side, and it's so easy to overrun them in the midfield. They're throwing everybody forward, and that leaves them open to counterattacks. They were constantly getting counterattacked 4-on-3, 5-on-3, and Empoli should have easily had 3-0 in the first half. They hit the crossbar, and then they missed another sitter. They created nothing. It was just strictly right-hand side, and they could not create anything at all. Then the second half, they made some changes. They went to a back three, and they subbed in the Poland Zalewski on the left. Once again, the left was so open because of literally 8 guys were on the right-hand side. So Zalewski looked good. But in the second half, Sule tried to force it even more, was trying to dribble past every single player, couldn't get by one. And this even goes back to Dybala's days on Juve. It's like tactically, where do you put Dybala? Because he doesn't want to be in the middle. He wants to be more on the right, but he's better in the middle. Pellegrini looked I didn't even see Pellegrini anywhere. Paredes played, I think, 15 seconds of the worst soccer I've ever seen in my life. He gave the ball up. He gave the ball up out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden he got back and just literally kicked a guy in the box to give up a PK. It was insane. The second that happened, De Rossi yanked him. It was awful. Baldanzi came in, changed nothing. More guys on the right-hand side of the field. Although I did think Baldanzi brought in some good energy, made some good plays. It was 6 guys on the right. It was so bad. You need to figure out the balance of this team because it's only on the right and it's only offensive guys. So they have a lot of work to do.
My take on this game, I want to give props to Empoli. I thought they played a very, very great game, especially for the talent level that they had. And like Mott said, it could have easily been 3-0 in the first half. Colombo missed the sitter. They hit the crossbar. Giassi missed a sitter on a beautiful cross off the left side, coming back post. But I think it really pointed to the fact that this defense was sleeping the entire first half, sleeping. And so that I'm just going to chalk up to Empoli played really well first half. Roma they weren't awake. They were hungover. They needed to get going. Second half, what really stood out to me is, and I don't know if this was a decision that Dybala made on his own, but he took every single chance to shoot around the 18. And unlike Leao, this guy can shoot, and he was extremely dangerous from those positions. He didn't net one, but he was the only guy for Roma that was getting anything even remotely close to the net. And that brings me to Dovic. He played 90 full minutes, 0.67 XG, and 75% of that XG, that expected goal number, came in the 94th minute. So this man was completely absent the entire game. And the reason that you can really see that is because Shomurodov, whatever that guy's name is, Shomurodov came in the 77th minute and had 57.57 XG, netted a goal off a Baldanzi cross, and had 2 more shots on target.
But
so
yes,
this man,
they put him in, and they played him as second striker off the left, so he was in a lot of space. Like that is when De Rossi brought him in, that finally gave their team some balance, meaning they have at least 3 players on the left, and rather than everybody on the right. So he was in the right area because Dobic was shading to the right. Everybody was off the right, so it was good balance. But yeah, Dobic is awful. At least terrible start.
hold on. I don't want to say he's awful. Again, you don't score as many goals as he did last year in La Liga because you're bad. He still had 92% passing accuracy, so he's definitely
He also had 18 touches, so I mean,
Yeah,
he
I didn't
gets
mean
to
he
say
did
nothing.
awful. He's
So
he's starting slow, but did you see he had a on the ground cross? He's in the 6-yard line. He had a tap in. He tries to backheel it, and it goes an inch from his foot. An inch from his foot. It was so bad.
well,
so killer instinct clearly not there. But again, the biggest problem being that unbalanced and their defense was non-existent.
yeah, in a lot of this team that like got to the Conference League final and won it, got to the Europa League final and lost it, is very much the same. Part of the issue is that there's nobody to play the service into Dovbyk, and he's like you need to service him kind of guy. Like he's not your like with Tammy Abraham. Like you play him to be a receive the ball, link up play. Romelu Lukaku, he can run in behind, ruthless finisher was at least right when they had him. What are you using Dovbyk for right now? Probably to get him service, and nobody is the guy that is out there to do that. I guess in a way, Zalewski off the left is, but it doesn't seem tactically that that's what De Rossi would want him to do, and more be kind of a cut-in guy with Angelino overlapping. And when that happens, then the only guy who's really going to be crossing it in the system is your left back, and that's it. So why are you playing Dovbyk then? Play somebody else.
You gotta play him. You just
I
can't
agree.
play
I
him.
fully agree
Yeah,
that you have to
you
play
have
him,
to play him.
but then you need to make a tactical shift. And this was my concern with De Rossi. No real experience. You're getting new kind of players now, and you need to do something different tactically to get the best out of them. On the Mateus Sule point, I've actually always been a fan of using left-footed wingers off the left side, right off the right side, vice versa, because it makes it a lot harder to defend as the outside back because you do have to you have to protect that crossing space. And for a lot of players, I mean, I always say Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané at Manchester City, the best he's ever been in his career, was playing off the left and was not scoring a lot of goals, but was a creative force. Mateus Sule could be that, but you have to tactically allow him to be that.
But he's also never played in that position, so he's gotta learn it as well, and he was not excelling there, and you can see he wanted to go to the right, and when they shifted him over, I was expecting Dybala or Pellegrini even to take the left flank. Pellegrini didn't, he stayed in the middle. Dybala stayed middle right. It was Paredes and Cristante both wanted to be above them on the right, and then Mancini was there on the right. It was an overload on the right, nobody on the left. It was awful. It was no balance. They were getting overrun in the midfield. It was terrible.
They were getting overran, and then I think, well, and part of that being that Pellegrini was again non-existent in this game, and we talked about it at nauseum at the beginning of the season. You need Pellegrini to be in form for this team to be any good. It doesn't matter that you have Dybala. It doesn't matter that you have Sule. You need Pellegrini to be more of a field general. And I think if you do have him in form and have him playing at 100%, he's able to mix and match those guys and put them in the right spots and give them the right opportunities. But this man seemed like he had never played soccer before. I mean, he was falling all over the place. He was tripping over in the box with next to nobody. Paredes played him a beautiful ball in, and he did absolutely nothing with it. He fell over. He seems a little bit out of form here. I'm not. That's fine. We're 2 games in. I'm not gonna throw this Roma team in the trash, but there seems to be a huge problem between De Rossi and the 3-headed dragon that looks like a bunch of sheep right now.
Yes, we're 2 games in, but Roma have Juve at Juve next game, and then they play Genoa, who Genoa has tied Inter. They've looked pretty solid. They're no walk in the park. If you do not get 1 point at Juve and then don't win against Genoa, that's 4 games. Oh my goodness, you're starting extremely poor. I know
Pressure
that
makes diamonds.
Roma has came back from the spot before. The last season, they didn't win their first 2 games either, so they have done it, but not they're not getting easy. Like, these were their easy games to start the season to win and start off hot. You know what I mean? Now it's coming Juve and Genoa.
100%.
Like you got to bounce back now.
It, it's just
100%.
worrying with De Rossi because not much has changed from last year. Like you have more or less the same group plus Sule and Dovbyk, obviously, but just
Enzo
everything is kind of wrong. But Lafay didn't even play this game. He came off the bench in like the 65th.
He got subbed in. Yeah,
He
he got
did.
subbed in.
Yeah, he played.
He was throwing everybody for it at that point. There's just no balance. They really gotta figure out the balance to this team. They all
Yeah.
wanted to play offense, nobody wanted to play defense, and everyone wanted to play on the right. It reminded me a lot of England national team with no balance, but they don't have the same players of the England national team, obviously.
Yeah, look at the heat map or the average position map if you get a chance, because it's, like, kind of nauseating to look at. It's actually
There was so much
ridiculous.
space on the left. There was so much space on the left. I could have been playing on the left, and I would have gotten by people.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's hilarious.
Sule
For all
and
you
Dybala are
yeah.
actually in the same position.
Yeah, for all the the Spotify and Apple Music podcast listeners, non YouTube, Logan just put the phone up to the camera, and there, like I've been preaching, there's like 8 guys on the right hand side and 2 on the left.
It looks like Angelino has a disease, and they're like, "Get me the fuck away from him."
Flip side of things, though, Empoli, we were very out on them coming into the season collectively. Win and a draw. Can't do much better than that to start the season, especially when one of your opponents is Roma.
And
And
it's
shout
at
out
Roma.
to Ola Solbakken getting a start for Empoli at the Stadio Olimpico, sticking it to him.
Well, I want to hear someone give a shout to my boy Lorenzo Colombo. A little AC Milan action. He was the best player from AC Milan this week. Guy had an assist and a penalty. Beautiful penalty today.
You said not
Yeah.
to loan him. You wanted to keep him.
I did. I said we should keep him. I just got done saying we needed a 9. This man set up the first goal, and he hammered home a
That was
penalty.
a great PK. Great PK.
Great PK. Looked very, very calm, very competent out there. Looked like a real 9. We've seen it in preseason for the last three seasons, I would say. So it's not like AC doesn't know what this guy's got in the holster. Happy to see him pull a performance out like this again, especially against a top 5 team and what we thought a top 5 team in Serie A was. Some shouts to my boy Lorenzo.
He had a good game. However, and I know I just absolutely shat on Roma's life, and they deservingly so. I didn't think Empoli played all that well. The only thing that I thought they did well was counterattack very well. But like I just absolutely, like I said, shat on Roma, and this game could have easily been 2-2. If Paredes doesn't give up that stupid ass PK, he just defends like a normal human being. It's probably a 1-1 draw. They had a lot of chances. They have to finish those chances. I think Roma really just gave them the game by playing so overly attacking and unbalanced. So didn't love what I saw from Empoli. Great win though. They got the result at the end of the day. That's all that matters.
I mean, I'll point this out, and you're right, Mats. Empoli's first half was phenomenal. They obviously tear off in the second half. XG, first half, Empoli, 1.89 to Roma's 0.33. And they only had Empoli had 29% possession and 1.89 XG.
That's the same thing would happen with Roma week 1 against Cagliari. They just there's no
and then they picked it up
system
in the
to
second half.
generate chances even with all these guys getting forward. And that is always that's what sets apart great managers. Great managers create a system to score goals. Guys that coach lower level teams defend well and can counterattack. That's what great guys do.
Yeah, correct. And Roma having the ball almost plays better into their opponent's hand because eventually those guys will all shade to the right and have an extreme overload, and it'll be easy to counter them.
What side of the field did Roma play on, Mats?
The right. It was insane. There was no left winger. It was crazy.
Well, flipping it over to the left-sided winger and his team, Napoli. Finally a result. Finally a performance we can point to for Bologna. I think this Italiano team is going to take a little bit of time to get where he wants it to be. But Bologna lost at Napoli 3-0. Gio Di Lorenzo, Kvaratskhelia, and Gio Simeone all netted one. Mats, this is your team. Antonio Conte is your
don't put
guy.
that on me. Aspetta Paisan. My team is Juve. This is my Gumar. Aspetta Paisan.
Your pick for the year. That's what I meant. And
Yeah. So I mean,
this was overdue, and we had kind of expected it, and then things weren't going right. Is this ship getting in the right direction, or kind of a fluke? How do you feel?
Let me tell you something. This game was night and day better than the game against Hellas Verona, and I'll tell you why. It's an easy answer. Number one, Kvara didn't leave in the first half. He played the full 90 minutes. Also, Cavada's a dad. You know what that means? Motivated to get even more money. When a lot of times when dudes become fathers, they just start hitting their form, whether that's in basketball, football, soccer. So watch out for Cavada now that he's a new dad. Secondly, probably the most important thing. Guess who is back in the lineup? Buongiorno. Guess who absolutely shut down the right side of the field? I mean, there was if
Yeah,
they were going
just
down the right
correct.
side of the field, it was Buongiorno was just going to win the ball. He and I thought that from Conte playing Buongiorno at the left center back was super fucking smart because he's normally playing in the center back at Torino, but that's an easier spot to like defend. So it's like let's put Buongiorno at left center back, give him more of the responsibilities, and throw Rachmani in at center back, who is a very capable defender. So it takes some stress off him. That was very, very smart by Conte. They are weak on the right-hand side with Di Lorenzo, I do think, and Doyne was fucking killing him. However, Di Lorenzo does add that added factor of going up and attacking as he showed with scoring a goal. So I think if Napoli is slightly weak on the left-hand side, nobody's going to get by the right-hand side with Buongiorno. He absolutely balled out. And then what really played into their hands, which is what I said, which is why I told the Paisanos, do not take Bose's bet. Italiano, 60% possession. Conte just wants to counterattack. Cavada, Politano, and their wingbacks. I can't remember which ones, but they were firing on the flanks on the counterattacks, creating absolutely a ton of dangerous opportunities. And you saw that with Cavada getting an assist and a goal. So it played into their hands. And I mean, I'll just single out Cavada here. He fucking balled. I mean, he nutmegged like 4 or 5 guys. He got an assist. He got a goal. He got a hockey assist, which for all the hockey fans that don't know is the pass leading to an assist. He absolutely balled.
Buongiorno looked like prime Van Dyke in this game, honestly. It was insane. I didn't he obviously, we didn't see him playing in this position last year with Torino, but Conte having the confidence in him to move him out there and then also participate offensively as a left-footed left center back creates another dimension out there that's very difficult to deal with. It is a different team with Buongiorno. I will say
One
that
game a
much.
week. One game a week. And not to mention their Mercado's starting to shape up. Guess who came in for a minute, got an assist, and took on a player and beat his man? David Neres. Look at that. They're getting 2 midfielders coming in. Lukaku's coming in. Uh-oh. Conte's got 1 game a week.
Remains to be seen. I'm not going to be that hot on them, but I'm really happy for you, Mats, that David Neres, the saving grace of Napoli, has
It's
come
not
in.
the saving grace. It's just added depth. And Conte knows the guys that will work. You act
The
like I'm
storyline,
and never mind.
the storyline is clearly Buongiorno here. Guevara did exactly what we've known him to do. I think he might, if he gets hot, which that would be the craziest thing for Napoli here. If he gets hot, Mats is going to look really good. But 2 things I will say, not terribly important for their performance, but really good finish by Di Lorenzo for a center back / right back. I mean, really, really good finish, I thought. And my boy Gio Simeone's off the mark. It'll
That was
be
just
remain to be seen if if his little trickling starts a waterfall of goals for the next 2 months. I'd love to see it. But
that was a shit house of a goal. He barely got that one to cross the line. But I
it
want to
just field goal.
rewind from Di Lorenzo's goal. Yes, great touch, great finish. That pass that Cavada made, I think maybe 5 players in this league can make that pass. If for all the people that didn't watch it, basically they were counterattacking on the right-hand side and Cavada shaded into like right above the 18-yard line and just chipped it over the entire defense, perfectly fell on Di Lorenzo's foot and he one touched it and then hammered it home with the left foot. It was a very, very nice pass for all you TikTok people that follow. I will throw that on a clip. You guys can see it. It was very, very nice.
The biggest difference between this team and AC Milan right now is how this team is set up is their base is so secure with Lobotka and Anguissa in front that like their job is so clear, right? Like you get the ball and you don't do anything dumb with it, and then you break up counterattacks. And that's all you have to do. And then it's very much like, are they gonna score or not? And when they're firing, as we see, they do. And it's very much on Kvaratskhelia to really be the guy that's getting that done.
Yeah, a lot of weight on Cavada on offense for sure.
But again, when they have their full team, and Mats, what you saying, like on 1 game a week, everybody should be able to play. the base is just a secure piece. They're going to be hard to score against, and it will get them far. I just am not. I'm still not sure what Lukaku we are going to get. And if we get bad Lukaku, that's very bad. And if they are stuck with Raspadori, that's also very bad at this point.
Raspadori had a better game too, but we'll see. But flipping it to Bologna and Italiano, in my opinion, it was a lot more of the same from Italiano. All the ball, but no clinical forward play. They had 60% possession, but only 0.36 XG. Unable to really work the ball in dangerous areas. No one, in my opinion, looked dangerous for them besides Ndoin. He was their one bright spot. He was murdering Di Lorenzo on the left hand side. It looked like flashbacks from Nico Williams in the Euros. And also Ndoin just has a great work rate as well. Was getting back, breaking up some counterattacks. But it was just like I said, more of the same from an Italiano team playing good soccer, possess it, keep the ball, but no finishing or lethal things in the final third.
Yeah, I think a piece of this too is Santiago Castro, their number 9, was very bad for me. He didn't hold the ball, he didn't link up, he didn't really make good decisions when he did have the ball, and that's a little bit worrying because I'm not sure they have somebody that it seems like they were planning on like, okay, this is gonna be our guy that's gonna get us moving. And an Italiano team, generally Italiano teams have trouble scoring. So when you don't have that guy, this guy's gonna bang in the goals, it is a little bit worrying.
Agreed. Moving on to the last breakdown match of the day, and that's going to be Atalanta Torino. I thought that interesting to see at least Atalanta's lineup again with no Lookman and no Coop Miners, but was a pretty similar lineup from the last week's game. However, the result very, very different than last week. Last week they obviously won 4-0. This week a loss to Torino 1-2. Both I know you had a good amount of things that you wanted to say on this game.
Yeah, for me, it's with Torino. We're still looking at this Torino team. They are dangerous. Even without Villanova, that is a very dangerous team. And again, it's a manager, clear identity, what he wants to do. And it seems like it's a system that's built to play against really good teams. And then they haven't really played anybody bad yet, or we'll say air quotes bad. It seems like they're
So
also set up to win those games, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And
this is what Torino does in terms of being compact. They always know how to defend. But I think what's a little bit different this year is they want to go attack more. They want to possess it. And Che Adams and Zapata complement
oh
each
my
other very,
God,
very
dude.
well. And then you add in Illich as the little cam. That front three, I know it's not a left wing, right wing striker, but it's still a front three, is very, very dangerous. And they all complement each other very well.
Yeah, and Duvan has hit a good level here. I don't know if he's gonna be able to sustain this for the whole season because he's a little bit older now, but he looks like Atalanta days. Like, this is this is a scary guy to play against right now. Like, this as a center back, Duvan is terrible to deal with. He's big, he's fast, he's direct, he's all over you all the time. That just sucks to play against.
Devon right now is almost at a level where you need to have him have a shadow the entire game. It's almost getting to that point. I would just like to point out that Logs has a circle of nines now that had a wonderful week of performances. We had Colombo score a goal, Gio scored a goal, Shea Adams now scores a goal. My boy from Southampton.
Did say watch out for
So
him.
so the circle of nines is looking really good, and then I don't know, maybe I should be the scout for AC because we don't got any. But this Torino team, Mats, you said it exactly, is formidable off the ball, and they want to get forward when they do have the ball. They have a perfect setup. They have great wing backs. I know they got rid of Bellanova, but they obviously felt comfortable doing so, giving it to another Serie A team. And to the team that they played, obviously Bellanova didn't get in there, but they have a great system that they just want to ping balls in from the outside, let Duvan get on them, let Shea Adams work around it. This team is definitely a little scary. This is not an automatic 3 points. They are not typically that way, but a team that's looking very strong nonetheless. A little weird at Atalanta.
Love the classic 3-5-2. Like, it's just like a no frills 3-5-2. Like, throwing
Yeah.
it back.
On Torino, the one thing that I'd say maybe their Achilles heel is that they need to work on is it happened against Milan, obviously. In Atalanta, it was they got a late PK. This game could have been 2-2. They need to see these games out. They're in
Mhm.
winning positions, and they dropped the win against Milan, and they almost did it again against Atalanta.
Well, SMS's brother back there, Milivojevic Savic, who's 6'8". I had no idea
Yeah,
he's
he's
actually a
huge.
giant. He's humongous. 9.2 match rating.
He played
Did
great,
For a
yeah.
forward, that's nuts.
That was gonna be my point here. Like, yes, very good result for Torino, but at the same time, Atalanta had over 3 XG and hit the post 3 times and also missed a penalty. So it's like, it's not really alarm bells for me with Atalanta at all in this game. It's more a
No,
case of what we know they're bad at, which is center backs being 1v1 is
Yeah,
what
that's
what
how
what
yeah,
hurt them, and that's
both
what the 2
goals.
goals like, it was just idiotic defending, which is always, like, when Atalanta
That's the
loses.
Gasperini system.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
On a positive side, Retegui scored again, and it was a very well taken header. Like, this guy is rolling right now, which I'm very happy about. CDK missed the header. It was, like, a pretty good chance. The list goes on. From an Atalanta perspective, continue to do what you're doing. Like, in most games, you will win this. You're gonna outpace them. It didn't happen today. They probably should have drawn, but again, I have only good things to say about Torino. I think that's more the story of this game rather than an Atalanta perspective, because there's not a lot that's going to change. Villanova's gonna come in and he's gonna be great, but you can continue and expect to see the same thing from them going forward, really.
I'll put
and once those 2 midfielders come in and really start getting into the mix there, and you can put Pasalic a little bit further forward. He's not typically a holding midfielder, I would say. But you have Samardzic coming in and Billy Gilmore. Once those guys, or is Billy Gilmore going to
oh,
Napoli?
Napoli, Billy
Napoli.
Gil
Yeah,
you meant
Samardzic coming
Somerset
in
and
though.
Villanova, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Once those midfielders come in, they start gelling. I mean, that's going to be a huge advancement for this team.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up on Retegui. I was one to say it's gonna take a couple games for him to learn the system. Absolutely not. Just firing on all cylinders. Great for Retegui. We did see a little bit of Somerset. I think, as just like Logan said, as he sticks with the system, he'll continue to grow. He will ball out in the system. We saw Zaniolo a little bit. Didn't love what I saw from Zaniolo, if I'm being honest. But that's all right. I don't think Zaniolo will have a bad season per se. And then Bellanova is just gonna allow a lot of electricity on the right hand side of the right wing back, which I wanted to point out real quick is that's gonna be a very big spot for competition. Zabacosta, I think, is one of their best players, and they just bought Bellanova for that same spot. He had a great game this game, had an assist, could have had a goal last game. I think that's going to be great competition for Bellanova and Zabacosta.
What I
Zapdos
will
is also ancient.
He is
what I
old.
am really excited about with Bellanova is this is the first, and this is a little bit different of a comparison because Gasperini created this guy. Robin Gosens under Gasperini was like the only wingback that you can look back on and be like, this guy was a absolute star. He had problems after he left with injuries and whatnot, which sometimes happens. But Bellanova is a star in his own right. That is this is not like the hardest wingback system to play in, I guess, is a good way of putting it. And putting a star player in there, I am very excited about because Robin Gosens there was literally one of the best wingbacks in the world. And I think Bellanova can get to that point very quickly.
Good
Robin
point.
Gosens was so good. If we can just touch on that, was it a Euros or World Cup for Germany that he was their best player?
Yeah.
He
And he
was
got hurt
easily
though.
their best
He
player.
only played like 2 or 3
And
games and then
then
got hurt.
and
Yeah.
well, he got bought by Inter, and then he sucked. He was terrible
He
because
stopped drinking that.
no knees.
No, but he also stopped drinking the water over there in Bergamo.
The
Yep.
Bergamese
Bergamo
water.
water, yeah. But that wraps up our full match reviews of the match week number 2. We did wanna take you through the other score lines because there was some notable events that we didn't wanna get too far into. I wanted to start with one of the games that happened today. Juventus still rolling, beat Hellas Verona at Verona 3-0. Mach, what are your takes here?
Love it. I mean, I am so excited to watch Juve now. And last year, I would be so upset to watch Juve. Some quick stats just wanted to rattle off here: 6 goals, 2 games, 5 different goal scorers. Only allowed 1 shot on target. The difference with Thiago Motta is that there is so much balance. Like you have defenders, you have midfielders staying back, but you have guys attacking. Complete fluidity all around the pitch. and he's also playing the young guys. They're a great shade of experience in youngsters. It's beautiful to watch. Juve might end up winning the league.
My they looked awesome today. The most consistent team through the first 2 games. What I will
Only team
caution,
to be undefeated.
top of the table, certainly. The only thing I will caution against is these young players, once they get into a big spotlight game, I want to see them hold up. I'm not saying they won't, but I do need to see them play a top tier team. They've now played Como and Verona, and I would like to just see them play a more ball dominant team going forward.
Agreed, but are they going to need to? Because we have higher level players to play those games that we barely even featured so far, which is crazy.
Could be seen.
That is
That
pretty
takes us
crazy.
to,
Absolutely pumped for this season of
you should
Juventus.
be.
And I might, if we do another season standings after the Mercado closes, I very well might just have them as one.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Another
Crazy.
Titan here, Inter Milan. Getting back to business as usual. They beat Lecce 2-0. Wasn't as convincing as one would expect, but seems to be the ship's going back in the right direction now.
Yeah, I would say attacking wise, they weren't back to business. It was only 1-0. Thuram got a PK, and I know Inter gets all the calls, so I'll keep Inter accountable here. That was 100% a PK. Thuram literally got football tackled in the
A
box. It was
1,000%
insane. It was crazy. But what I will say is what is back to business, what was looking like it was in mid-season form was their defense. Bastonia, Cherby, and Pavard were unbeatable. They were an absolute wall back there.
Yeah, I would say Pavard looked really good as somebody who doesn't love Pavard. But the one thing that I found to be so true from this game and something that we highlighted preseason, the addition of Taremi on the back of Arnautovic and vice versa, whoever they decide to start, or if they don't, even if both come off the bench like they did, like they usually do. Lautaro didn't even see the pitch this game. They love that archetype of a giant ball, able to hold the ball, decent on the ball, but just a massive 9 in the air. And the way that those wingbacks play it just fits so perfectly into that system. Darmian, if he's not playing the Dumfries role at the back post scoring goals, he's out wide tossing balls in. And obviously, we all know how DeMarco works. He plays some of the best balls in Serie A. And so again, they're back to the way, and the whole Dzeko shout out. They have 2 of them now, and it's definitely going to be really annoying to play against for the rest of the league.
Genoa beat Monza 1-0. Good to see those guys keep it rolling. They tied Inter last week, so great start to the season. Not quite a surprise. This is a team we thought would be decently well. Good to see Pinamonti knocking one in. He was a player on Sassuolo that I think we all like. Just kind of like a Scamacca.
I didn't even know he went to Genoa. That's sick. I loved Piemonte and Sass.
He's kind of like a Scamacca clone, I would say, that made the right decision and
He's a
stayed in
clone.
Italy rather than leaving. So that's an interesting guy to follow. Fiorentina tied Venezia 0-0. Things aren't going great in Fiorentina right now. For Venezia, they're still bad, but this is a good result for them.
Still bad.
Fiorentina, tough. Yeah, it's been tough for Fiorentina. 2 newly promoted teams, 2 ties. You'd expect to get at least one, if not both wins. Palladino starting slow, but I think he'll right the ship eventually over there.
The other game that happened today, Como played at Cagliari 1-1. Como, I'm very worried about still, because the way they played against Juventus is how they should have played today. And they were scared, I think, of losing. So they kind of allowed the game to be like this counterattacking chaos that played into Cagliari's hands a lot. And
I caught this.
Go ahead, Lux.
I caught the second half of this game, and I was very happy to see how aggressive they were. Maybe again, that first half might have been a bit slow, but they brought on a lot of their new guys that they just got this past week. I thought they looked good. I thought they looked energetic. This team, I'm still behind them. I still think that they can stay up. They have the good bones there. Sergio Roberto came in and played a bit. He looked good at an old head there. These are the games that they need to get points out of. Cagliari not very strong. 1 point out of it, sure. Just keep rocking and rolling. All you need to do is be better than 3 teams, and I think they can do it.
Fair point. To wrap up the games of match week 2. I saved one for last because Mats loves this team.
False.
Lazio
Hate them.
lost at Udinese 2 to
Shut
1.
eyes on. I hate them.
10 men in an essay.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Fucking everyone was so high on Lazio winning 3-0 against or 3-1 against Venezia. Lazio are a bunch of frauds. They're not going to be good. They're going to finish middle of the table. The Tito is an idiot. It's going to be more of the same here. Lazio suck.
But
We
on
should have a
Udinese,
segment.
another team, win and a draw. We weren't very hot on them. Great start to the season there.
I had them pretty
Yes,
high in my
sir.
season rankings, although Somerset left and they are playing well. Good for them.
Yeah, so I like to see that. But that wraps up match week number 2. We're going to take a quick break, and we get back. We're going to give you our players of the week and a little Mercato update. We're back from the break, guys, to give you our players of the week here. And we're going to let Lowe kick it off because he has just been stroking
this
this
guy.
guy all episode.
I can't stop talking about him. I love him. Lorenzo Colombo, my player of the week, a goal and an assist for Empoli, taking that team past Roma. I wish he was back in Milan.
Fair.
That was
That
you're no longer blowing.
unexpectedly.
He must have busted already there. Jeez, you all right,
I've
I'll go.
already talked about him 19 times this episode.
fair.
So
That's what I'm saying. You already got what
I
you
already blew my load.
exactly. No, he blew his load. My player of the week is going to be, and no bias here, Locatelli. Wanted to shout him out because he had a rough season under Allegri. This is going to be a kind of do or die season for Locatelli. If he doesn't play well, he's probably getting shipped. Mata has a lot of faith in him playing in a bunch of different positions, and I've never seen Locatelli play as good of a game as he did today under Mata for Juve. Just to get into some of what's up, Logs?
I was just going to say I agree with you with everything you said, but he's still on the list.
That's
Now,
okay.
Paisans, I'm not going to get into it right now, but be careful. You don't want to find yourself on the list.
Dovic might be on that list too.
We'll see.
But I just wanted to let you guys know on how good of a game Locatelli actually played. He played the full 90, 119 touches, 89 passes completed, 88 passes accuracy, 9 passes in the final third, 3 out of 4 ground duels won, and one of those led to a goal. 6 recoveries of the ball, 5 clearances, 2 out of 2 aerial duels. Was really playing in that, if you want to call it Pirlo, Rodri role very, very well. And him and Fagioli kind of complemented each other. One would go up, one would stay back, one would go like very good double pivots essentially. So shout out Locatelli. Thought it was a great game. Hopefully more to come from him.
I'm still not
Absolutely packed the
sold.
stat sheet.
I'm still not sold on Locatelli in that system. I think there's other guys that might be able to do a little bit more than him. And again, good game. I'll give him that. But he's still one for me to watch. I think he's the first guy off the team when it gets to that. So it'll be interesting. I thought Beans played well today too, actually. For me, my player of the week, kicking it over to Parma, I got Woyo Koulibaly. He was the right back. This is my second time watching him. I watched him in the Coppa Italia a couple weeks ago. And this is a player I really like. He's very exciting. He's kind of a modern attacking fullback. And in this game against Milan, he played very well defensively against Rafael Leao, who's a very hard guy to play against, and also contributed on the offensive end, was participating in a lot of counterattacks, has a lot of skills. He had it wasn't even like a Maradona. He had like, I don't even know what it's called. He had like this crazy turn in the defensive third that took out like 3 Milan players and then took it 70 yards down the pitch. It was ridiculous. So he's a player to watch, and
If Tomori doesn't have 88 pace in FIFA, he's scoring that goal.
Yeah, it was crazy. So he's one for me that I'm pulling out. He's only 25. I could see this being a guy that somebody maybe scoops up as not necessarily your number one starter, but as somebody you think you can get a lot out of. He would start for AC Milan, I can tell you that much.
Definitely respect to you, Vos, picking a right back, and especially 2 games, watching him and seeing him like that. And good for him. I mean, you typically are not, I mean, Bellanova does it as a right wing back, but you're typically not going to pick out a right back to be like, wow, that guy really blew me away. And so shouts to Koulibaly, great week for him.
That's our
Cambiasso
players of the week. Cambiasso
is a whole nother story this week, but good for Cambiasso.
We'll save that for another time because we got to get through our Mercato updates before the end of the episode. Starting in Rome, Logs, you're excited.
Keeping the dragon intact, even though it looked like dog shit. Dybala staying in Serie A. He wants the glory. He's here for his legacy. We talked about it last episode. We thought he was gonzo. He is not. He is staying in the Capitale. Happy for him. Happy for Roma. Hopefully they can right the ship, they can get the train back on track here.
I don't know if it's him or his wife saying we're staying. Might be.
Don't
Shout
matter.
out his
He's
wife.
staying.
Yeah, I don't even care. Yeah. Juve's Mercato is continuing on. This has been quite the summer for them. A couple new ones to get done before the end of the window here, Mods. 2 more.
Yeah, man, Juventus has had a crazy couple of weeks. Every day is something new, and I'll even go as far as to say this: if Juve bring in Sancho and Coop Miners off of what they've already done, I would put this past Atletico Madrid's window, past Atalanta's window. Could be one of the best windows in the history of transfer windows ever. But the 2 players that they brought in since we've last recorded, Nico Gonzalez from Fiorentina. All the Florence fans are pissed because they say, "Oh, that's Juve's training ground." But then they're happily
It is.
but then they'll happily accept Arthur. They'll happily accept Kostic. They'll happily accept Keane. And it's like, oh, we now have some great players because we bought players from Juve. Then they get all mad when Juve are trying to give them more money to recruit more younger players. Doesn't make any sense. And then another great buy. Really like this guy. Conceição out of Porto, scored in the Euros for Portugal, is a fantastic dribbler. Actually, is the second best dribbler in the 5 European leagues, only behind our boy Kvaratskhelia. But he tends to dribble too much, so I'm hoping Mata can kind of coach him out. But you pair those 2, if you get Coop Miners, if you get Jadon Sancho with everyone Juve's done, oh my God, Juntali's cooking.
Chef and Mats, do you think, I mean, obviously Cousin Sal is going to be more of a depth option here and going to come off the bench for the most part. Would you say he plays like Yildiz as a dribbling player, or do you think he can play in a different spot and they can
I think he
gel
plays.
together?
Yeah, no, they could gel. He's gonna play in that right wing, hold that width spot, and have Cambiaso kind of come in off of him into like the 10 area or other midfielders. He's gonna hold the width. He's gonna play in that Tim Weah role, I think, just more offensively what Weah did in the first game.
Yeah, he's a better.
Mats.
What I will say about this Balta team is he wants guys that are secure on the ball, and Conceição is more that than Weah is, and even Chiesa, which we can talk about Chiesa endlessly. The Nico Gonzalez is an interesting one. I thought they were going to kind of pull out of this on the back of Bangula playing so good, because I would expect Nico to kind of take that same space as Bangula.
Well, Nico also plays more off the right. Can play off the left, but I was reading today, and I don't hate this at all. They could see Mata deploying him as a false 9 when Dusan needs rest in like a similar Xerxes role, which I think Nico would do very well at. I think the only part he would struggle at is he's not as big and strong as Xerxes or as you need to be as a striker, but he definitely has the ball skills to play a false 9 and do those flicks that Xerxes was so good at and excelled at.
Why is every team that Mats supports just having an absolute time right now? Napoli, Juve, Napoli getting deals done these days. What happened with Lukaku?
Done deal, although way too much money on Lukaku. 30 mil that can go up to 45. That's absurd. Obviously, I think that's way too much, but I do want them to get this deal done because Conte wants him, and Conte, when he gets the players he wants, you know what happens. So great by them. We've talked about their Mercato a little bit earlier, so I won't touch on it, but just wanted to do one more talk or update. Victor Osimhen, Saudi coming in last minute, and they need money to fund these players that are coming in, bidding 65 mil, and they sound like they're going to accept it, and it's up to Osimhen if he wants to go there rather than playing in Europe, which would be crazy because they've been asking for 130 mil this whole summer, and now they're like, we'll take half. That'd be crazy.
That would be a travesty if Victor goes to Saudi. On the Lukaku piece, really quick, I don't think 30 is really that bad, especially in
45.
how
It could
hold
be
on.
45.
I know. I think 45 is way too much, but I'm saying
30 is normal.
I'm saying 30 is totally fine. It'll probably end up somewhere in the middle of that given performances, but given how dire they are in need of a 9, I
You
don't
gotta do
find
it.
that to be a problem at all. They needed to do it. But to see Victor go to Saudi would be a travesty.
Agreed.
It would be. But with that, guys, we are done for the day. When we tune in on Wednesday, it'll be a preview of match week number 3. Logs,
Try.
where can the newly found Paisanos find us?
Whether you're new, old, from the beginning, just starting, you can find us on all the socials. Find us on Twitter. Mott's is alive on Twitter. Interact with them, get them going. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube at Calcio Culture FC. And we are also on all your favorite streaming sources, Spotify and Apple Pods. And with that, Mott's, take us away.
Paisanos, don't be a gagoots, and Forza Calcio Culture.